Hi, we're back with more fat acceptance TikTok cringe. Now, we've already covered how the fat acceptance movement is lying to themselves, but now we're going to talk about how they're lying to you. Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome back to my Fat React series. I'm going to be reacting to different aspects of health culture. This includes the fat acceptance community, the fitness community, as well as popular health and beauty trends. As I've said, there is nothing that annoys me more than when people try to convince you that you can't accomplish your goals. And in this particular instance, the fat acceptance community would just love to tell you that if you are in a larger body, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not healthy, that there is no correlation between health and weight. So today we're going to break down some of the ways the fat acceptance community is lying to you, and also some of the ways that they just actively don't like it when you lose weight. For whatever reason. Even if you just lost weight magically, they're not happy about it. So yeah, let's check it out. First video.
One of the most common questions I get is, how can you say there's no relationship between weight and health? And first of all, virtually nobody is saying that.
Okay, she always says that nobody is saying that, but literally her video is about how weight and health is correlation, not causation. You're contradicting yourself in this video. If that's what you're going to title it, you're contradicting yourself already.
What I and many other fat activists are saying, and in fact we're begging people to understand this, is that as it stands in the current research, the relationship between weight and health is correlational, not causal.
Yeah, so you just said it. You're saying there's no relationship between health and being overweight. Now you're saying technically she's saying there's no research to suggest that it is, not that there definitely isn't. Well, come on, lady. We all know what you're trying to imply.
So some research methods 101. When two things are correlated, it means that they're happening at the same time. It does not mean that one thing is causing the other thing. For example, there's a very strong correlation between male pattern baldness and heart attacks, which is true. Now, based on that information, should we ascertain that baldness causes heart attacks?
Okay, I get what she's trying to say here, but it's completely different. Those are completely two unrelated things. We're talking about actual things like making you gain weight, the food that you're putting in your body. What ingredients are those? Are those things that increase cholesterol? Are they things that increase blood pressure? Are they things that are going to cause cancer? And are you getting fat along with that? Because there is a relationship between, what you put in your body and how much weight you gain. And so wouldn't it stand the reason that then what you put in your body making you gain weight is also making you sick? I guess she might be saying, oh, someone who's just naturally fat, wouldn't that mean they're unhealthy? But there's no such thing as being naturally fat. You got there somehow. And even let's say you got overweight because you were eating 4,000 calories a day of stuff that doesn't cause that stuff. 4,000 calories a day of watermelon. I don't know. I don't know how you would do that. But let's just say that's what happened. Having all that significant extra weight is still going to put a lot of pressure on your joints. It's still going to not be good for your ligaments. And yeah, I think there's a video later on of somebody talking about how your muscles and ligaments will eventually adjust to that. And yeah, your bones and stuff do get stronger, but only to a certain extent. There's only so much your body is designed to put up with. And I know that from experience because I have issues with my joints and ligaments as a fat person.
Should we try to get bald men to grow hair in an effort to reduce their likelihood of having a heart attack and then blame them when they can't do it? No, because what's actually happening is that a third factor seems to be at play, which contributes to both baldness and heart attacks. What I'm suggesting is that we look much more closely at the third factors at play when it comes to weight and health.
Yeah, it's probably what you're eating that's also making you overweight. But here's the thing, if you eliminated those things from your diet, you might not be overweight either. So it is partially on you to be eating healthier.
For example, fat people frequently have our blood pressure taken with blood pressure cuffs that are too small. The problem with that is that when you use a cuff that's too small, it will always result in a false high reading. And this happens all the time.
She is right about that. I will give her credit when she is correct.
These are the kinds of things I think about when someone says that fat people have higher rates of hypertension. I think, of course we do. We are constantly getting false high readings. And
yeah, I would have to look further into that. I mean, I think It just depends, right? So if you're significantly overweight and you are like unable to exercise properly, you're unable to, be able to walk down the street without getting a little bit winded, the chances are you're probably going to have worse vitals, right? So I just think it depends on the person. Someone like me, I have chronically low blood pressure, and only after I went on medication did it go up a little bit. So I know for me, it never applied, but whenever they use a blood pressure cuff and when it's done automatically and not manually, very painful, blood pressure spikes. I totally see what she's talking about there. I still don't see how being overweight is healthy.
More broadly, there are a number of very influential third factors that contribute to the overall trend of health problems for fat people, such as weight stigma, also known as the stress of discrimination, something that fat people experience a lot. Another is weight cycling. Virtually all fat people have tried to lose weight at some point in our lives, but pursuing weight loss is a virtual guarantee that someone will experience weight cycling, which is extremely hard on the body.
Yeah, she talked about this a lot. She really, really discourages people from losing weight. And weight cycling can be a problem, but I believe it actually occurs because people are trying to lose weight in unhealthy means. So if you're trying to lose weight quickly and not healthily, you're going to be more likely prone to weight cycling, where you're going to regain the weight and regain even more than you originally were, because you're going to put yourself in a state where your body is like desperate for certain nutrients, and it's like your hormones are all messed up, so it's going to make you hungrier. But of course, you would never talk about that.
And finally, we have inaccessible, inequitable, and biased healthcare. Fat people experience all of these things, and all of them contribute to illness. But despite all of these third factors, discrimination, stress, weight cycling, limited healthcare, biased healthcare, incompetence.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and defend doctors. I've had my own experiences with that, and I do definitely agree they have some issues. Especially when it comes to treating overweight people, especially when it comes to treating women. Sorry to say it, I just met too many people who've had that issue. And I've had too many doctors blame me for being overweight for issues that were completely unrelated.
Healthcare and a lack of proper medical equipment, the cultural conversation around weight and health refuses to evolve. People, especially thin people, tend to be very committed to upholding fat phobia. People are just more comfortable believing that fat people do bad things and that leads to bad health, and thin people do good things and that leads to good health, despite the fact that we know that's very misleading, very stigmatizing, and often untrue.
I don't like the weird moralizing she does here. Like, she's projecting morals. She's saying this is how thin people actively think about fat people. I'm sure, yeah, a small minority do. But I'm not going to sit here and think like all thin people do that. We don't live in that kind of world. I'm sorry. But yeah, let's finish this video. It's a really long one.
Turns out the pushback that I get on this topic, it's not really about health. It was fat phobia all along, guys.
Or so she says. Okay. We're going to go on to the next video. It's another Hannah Talks Bodies. Yeah. Let's go. Number 2.
I can always identify someone who doesn't have a great grasp on history if they see medicalization as a stamp of inherent virtue. This comes up a lot when I talk about how the word obese is a slur. At least one person will always pop their head out of the ground to say, obese is a medical term, as if that somehow makes it better. You know what else used to be a medical term? Like a lot of bad shit we don't say anymore.
Okay. I want to talk about this. Just because the person who invented something might have been a terrible person doesn't mean the thing that they invented was bad, right? So there's a lot of medicine that we use today invented by really terrible people in World War II. Do we still use it? Yeah. Should we stop using it because they were terrible people? Probably no. And so this whole idea of, she always talks about like the BMI, for example, was invented by a racist and eugenicist. Okay. They revised the BMI several times since then. Can we still use it? Or no? Because the original person was a terrible racist and eugenicist. And just deciding that you don't like the word obesity just because of the connotations and feelings you have towards it doesn't mean that other people can't use it. Doesn't mean that we have to eliminate it from the medical dictionary.
Because we realized it was stigmatizing as fuck and it actively harmed people.
Please tell me how the word obesity actively harmed you. Did it come up and like punch you in the back? Did it slap you across the face? I really want to know. Like, is the word really violent? Are words violence here? Because I know, I'm getting meaner and meaner as it goes on. It's Aries season, right? It's Aries season, I'm fiery. But just the things she says really annoy me because she's the one who brought up the whole thing of correlation versus causation. And now it's like she wants to moralize and put a cause to why we shouldn't use this word just because she has feelings about it.
You can Google them. I'm not going to say them here. Science and language are both constantly evolving and updating.
Yes, science and language are both constantly updating and evolving based on your feelings.
The medical establishment is not exempt from this. If anything, it's actually a particularly strong example of how this happens. We don't need to look too far back into history at all to see how medical terminology and practices change. For example, homosexuality is no longer diagnosed as a mental illness. Female hysteria is not something that's diagnosed anymore. Cocaine and heroin are no longer prescribed as anesthetics or cough suppressants.
Yeah, so I like how she brings up homosexuality because it's like sexual orientation is it's completely the same thing as being overweight. Just, you can switch them out one for the other.
Lysol cleaning spray is no longer used as a douche. We don't perform ice pick lobotomies anymore. And doctors no longer advocate for the health benefits of smoking cigarettes. Oops.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and like defend the medical community. They've sucked on more than one front. At the same time, it doesn't mean you eliminate a whole word just because you have feelings about it. And the whole thing, it's stigmatizing AF. Like, it's only as stigmatizing as you make it out to be. If you give that word power, it has power. Whatever, I'm obese. I hope to one day not be obese. I'm trying my best. I'm getting there. I'm losing weight. We'll see how it goes. There's only so much I can do. I don't know. I can't like argue with her in person.
More importantly, when a marginalized group tells you that a word or practice harms them, you can just go ahead and believe them.
Okay, another issue I have here. Marginalized group. I'm not in your group, Hannah. I know you want to make us the next big thing. Marginalized, victimized, oppressed, whatever. We're not the same, okay? Fat people are not a monolith. I'm not asking for you to help me. And I'm personally not offended by the word obesity. Okay. We can do this. We can get through this. I think that's the last. Yeah, that was the last Hand Talks Bodies. I think I can't handle too much of it. Number 3. It's a pretty short one, I think. Okay, first of all, I have never accepted that people can be naturally thin. And I will never accept that people can be naturally fat either. And I've even met thin people who have claimed over and over again to be naturally thin. And then I've actually watched what they've eaten. They're like, I eat and I eat and I eat and I just never gain weight. And I eat them, like watch them eat 3 bites and they're done. Well, that's why you're not gaining weight, because you don't eat. And it's the same thing that happens with fat people. Like, they've done studies on this where they will claim, oh, I only eat 1,200 calories a day. And when they actually track what they eat significantly more than that. And I think it was also that they downplay the unhealthy things they eat and they like really play up the healthy stuff they do eat. So yeah, anyone who's saying I'm naturally thin, I'm just as suspicious of you as I am of somebody saying they're naturally fat. Now, how you respond to those calories, how hungry you are, completely different story. That can be a problem if you're not eating enough and maybe need to find ways to boost your appetite. And if you're hungry all the time and you're eating many, many calories and gaining weight, that's also a problem. You need to find a way to curb your appetite. You got to find a way probably to balance your hormones, eliminate certain ingredients that make you hungrier. It's not rocket science. So I can respond more to this video, but actually this girl I found, she does like a better job than anyone else. Like, so we're just going to watch her video because I think she hits it out of the park here. And it's going to start with the other video that we just watched.
I have heard this excuse so many times, and I'm honestly just sick of it. No one is naturally this big, or this big, this big. this big, hell, even this big. No one. That is like seriously one of the biggest and lamest excuses in the world. Oh, I'm naturally this big. No, you are not. A little bit of a scenery change, but having something like this, that is normal. You know, having a little bit of excess fat, yes, that is natural and normal. That just means that you are not exercising and developing muscles in that area. So having a little bit of pudge is fine. You don't need to be completely flat. But with this exact same argument, then Eugenia Cooney.
That's a great example. That is somebody who says that they are naturally thin, and we all know that is not the case.
Could be naturally this skinny. Which, you know, I don't know about you, but that's... Yeah, this is natural with that argument. Why can't she be naturally this skinny? If people can be naturally obese, then she can be naturally that skinny. And don't try to tell me that it's not the same or it's different because she's got an eating disorder. Well, I'm sorry to, break the news to you, but overeating is an eating as well. It's disordered eating. It's called disorder or...
Okay, this is the only thing I'm going to criticize, and it's not even real criticism. Not all overeating is binge eating. I don't have a disorder. I gained weight more from hormonal reasons and being hungrier, but it wasn't like binging. I was eating just a few extra 100 calories per day over time. I didn't gain weight rapidly other than when I was in my teens and I was going through a severe hormonal issue. But when I got older, the weight gain was more steady. But that being said, a lot of people who are significantly overweight do have a eating disorder. And we definitely feel for them. We hope they get treatment. But if they are not that overweight naturally, they got there from binge eating.
BED. Before anybody tries to come on here and say, oh, what about medical issues? What about medications, PCOS, thyroid? No, there's not a single medication, and there are rarely any medical issues that actually cause you to be this overweight. I'm sorry, it's just not a thing. I have PCOS, I have thyroid issues. I'm not naturally like that, and I'm not naturally overweight. It may make it harder to lose weight. It may make it not as effortless as some other people, but it's still possible.
She's right. It's hard and it's still possible. I think the first step is getting diagnosed, because if you don't know what's going on and you can't get treated, then you're kind of like fighting an uphill battle. But once you're treated, I mean, most of those issues go away. And I speak from experience. I have hypothyroidism. I have PCOS. It's made it significantly easier to lose weight. So a lot of people who say, oh, I have PCOS, I can't lose weight. It's like, well, have you tried treatment for your PCOS? And I will say PCOS and hypothyroidism together did cause a lot of my really rapid weight gain, but it wasn't because they just made me bigger. I mean, they did to some extent, just a little bit of pudge, but they made me hungrier. So I ate more. And that's what caused the weight gain. It was eating more. So it wasn't really a willpower thing. It was just I was hungrier, and it's very hard to be hungry every single day and know you've hit your food limit. You're like, well, I can't be this hungry and be over my calorie limit. It's just stuff like that, right? So yeah, she is right there. And when I got treatment, I stopped having those issues. Changed my diet also helped a lot too.
It's not impossible. You can still lose weight with medical issues and medications that cause weight gain. So to recap, if you think this is natural, then you also must think. So just to recap, if this is natural, then this is natural. Stop having a double standard. Stop being hypocritical. Enough.
Okay, we got 2 more videos left to go. I really like that last one. I agree with 99% of what she said. I thought she did a really good job really breaking down that argument. This one is kind of a trip.
There's nothing wrong with my body. Fat is not a dirty word. If my body tells me something, I will make sure it is heard. If my body is a vessel, I will give it what it needs. I will not betray my body, no matter what they think of me.
Like, I honestly don't even know where to start. Like, when I talk about TikTok cringe, like, this is the epitome of TikTok cringe. I'm all for loving yourself. I'm all for not starving yourself. I don't know how I feel about saying there's nothing wrong with my body when there's clearly something wrong. Of course, it goes back to the argument that they'll tell you there's no relationship between weight and health. So when they're lying to you and saying there's nothing wrong with my body, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I when I looked at this girl further, apparently she does have an eating disorder. Apparently, from what I gather, it was like a restrictive eating disorder. Which, once again, we feel people who struggle with those things, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're suspending disbelief a little bit here when it comes to saying, is there something wrong with you, yes or no? Because you can have multiple things wrong with you, and I don't know which one we should be prioritizing. You could assist with mental health and all the things that go along with it and still promote a healthy lifestyle. They don't have to be an exclusion. They don't have to be separate, right? At least I would hope so, or else there's going to be no help for anyone. Yeah. Okay, we got one more video. I think this one's by someone called the Fat Doctor. I might be getting that wrong. Let's check it out.
Okay, most important question now. Why do you think your back hurts? My doctor said it's because I'm fat and I need to lose weight, so I've been going with that. They told you that? That's wrong for so many reasons. Well, right or wrong, I just thought it was kind of mean. Agreed, here's the deal. There's lots of fat people who don't get chronic back pain. There's lots of skinny people who do get chronic back pain. Some people lose weight and don't get out of pain, and some people get out of pain without losing any weight. So it's wrong to tell someone they're in pain because they're fat. Wow.
I will say, it can be wrong to tell someone they're in pain because they're fat if you've done all the work to assess if that's the actual cause. Now, I've definitely had doctors tell me, well, just lose weight and you won't be in pain. Come to find out later, I actually had like an issue that affected my joints, and that's why I was in pain. I eventually got a really good doctor who was like, well, maybe we fix your pain issue, it'll be easier for you to exercise. And lo and behold, that was the case. Now, that being said, let's be honest here. The idea that the average fat person doesn't have back pain, I mean, how fat are you? If you're my size, which is that morbidly obese category, you're definitely going to have back pain. I don't want to hear anybody saying you don't have back pain. Okay, you have some kind of it. Maybe you have knee pain. Maybe you have ankle pain. Maybe you have hip pain. You have pain somewhere. And it's because of all the weight that you're lugging around. Now, maybe if you're a man and you're that overweight, 300 pounds, whatever, you have a lot more muscle to help you out, but eventually that muscle's going to go away. Eventually, you're going to get older and you're going to have less muscle to help support all the fat. And if you're a girl, sorry, you're going to be in pain sooner. It's just the way it is. And trying to pretend that you have somebody who's my size and not in some amount of pain from levels 1 of achiness to 10, holy crap, I'm having severe issues. You're lying to me. I know you're lying to me.
Those are good points. But it also made sense when he said to imagine how my back would feel if I started carrying around a 40-pound backpack every day. Yeah, but you didn't just wake up one day 40 pounds heavier. Those are gradual changes that muscles and joints just adapt to. It's not like slapping on a 40-pound backpack.
I get what he's saying here, and yes, it is true to some extent. And I've already talked about this, where I'm like, yeah, but over time, your muscles and ligaments can only adjust to so much. Your joints can only put up with so much. Your body was not meant to have that much on it. So even if it compensates, it's going to break down over time, especially as you get older and things don't hold up as well.
So I don't need to lose 40 pounds to get rid of my back pain? No, plus that would be discouraging. Weight loss is really hard. Amen. So what should I do? Well, things that work for weight loss, diet, sleep, stress management, activity, they can all work for pain whether you lose weight or not.
I hate how he says, like, weight loss. Oh, no, don't do that. That's super hard. Is that what he said?
I don't need to lose 40 pounds to get rid of my back pain? No, plus that would be discouraging. Weight loss is really hard.
Yeah, he says weight loss is really hard. That would be discouraging. Like, it's going to help you regardless. My, like, recommendation would be, let's help you with the pain, and then let's try and get you to lose weight. Let's address the current symptom and then treat the issue. Like, you can do both, and one will definitely help the other. I can't take the lies. There's too many lies. Okay. I'm gonna collect myself here. I told you it's Aries season. Fiery. Anyways, that's all for right now. I hope you're not as enraged as I am. I'm gonna try to be nicer. It's hard. You have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.